Hello, and welcome to Round Glass. My name is Lisa Kring, and I'm so honored to be your mindful guide right now, supporting your health and well-being by saying yes to what's here right now. But first, I'd love to just welcome you all in the chat. Please feel free to just offer anything that you'd love to share. Let me know how you're doing. And I'd love to know if you're new to mindfulness. All levels are open for this session. So welcome. Please feel free to share in the chat. And before we move into this practice of saying yes to what's here, just a few words. It's not always easy in life to say yes to what's here. Now, of course, there are moments that I like to call sunset moments that for whatever reason, they're rare, but conditions line up where we can just melt into a moment where everything just feels acceptable. It's easy to say yes to what's present in those moments. But I'm sure that you can agree with me that most moments of life are not sunset moments. No, more often than not, what's happening in each moment is not what we like or want in big and small ways. And so the mind becomes reactive. It starts to say no to what's present. But when we start to practice, we start to notice this tendency in the mind. We realize that it is actually this reactivity, this resistance in the mind that is actually causing our discomfort. So that's where this practice comes in. Saying yes to what's here right now in any moment becomes a radical practice of liberation. It's often said in mindfulness terms, we start to get hip to this truth that it's not what's happening that is causing our discomfort, our experience. It's how we relate to it, depending on how we're relating to what's here. That is actually determining our experience in any moment, whether we're saying no, which only increases our suffering, or when we actually say yes, no matter what's happening in any moment, we suffer less. So how does that sound, everyone? Do you find that that this lands for you, that this resonates for you? So in support of this, what I'd love to do is just kind of make this a little bit more accessible in a direct experience in my own life. I meditate every morning, and on Wednesday mornings, that's when the trash truck comes and picks up the trash outside of my house. So oftentimes I'll be sitting in meditation, and it's around the same time that the trash truck shows up to pick up the trash out front. And I'll be meditating mindfully, of course, and I'll start to hear that trash truck, and immediately, almost just unconsciously, my mind becomes reactive, and I just notice immediately it starts to say, nope, I don't want the trash truck in this meditation. And I start to feel that downward spiral of reactivity. Now, because I'm practicing, I notice this as quickly as possible. I do allow myself to mindfully realize that this is not serving me, that saying no to the trash truck, I don't have control over it. I can't make it go away in this moment. And in this mindful way, I actually let go. As an act of wisdom, I let go of the resistance in the mind. And in this practice, there's two steps. First is to simply note, to recognize, okay, yep, that's right. There's a trash truck right now while I'm meditating. And then the second step is energetically, it feels paradoxical, but to put out the welcome mat, to simply allow it to be there just as it is, to allow it to become not an obstacle to the meditation, but actually to allow it to become the meditation itself, to let it be the opportunity for mindfulness, in fact. And suddenly what begins to happen is I start to settle in and just receive the sounds. And it's kind of, it's just a sensual experience. It actually becomes like a kind of percussive music. And it just becomes actually interesting. And then because I've dropped all the resistance in my mind, suddenly, and this just happened to me recently, there was this awareness of gratitude for the trash truck. I actually was so glad it was there. It was picking up the trash in front of my house. If it didn't show up, that would not be a good thing. And suddenly it just became so okay that the trash truck was there. And then, of course, like all things in moment to moment experience, it came and then it went away. And so that's just a really, really simple example of how saying yes to what's here becomes a really liberating experience no matter what's happening. In life, truly, we cannot control our conditions, and this becomes the great power of mindfulness. So let's practice. Shall we try this? Shall we see how this feels right now in this experience? Of course, we're radically embracing imperfection. We're saying yes to what's here as an experience of freedom. So let's begin by settling into a posture wherever you are. And what I'd love to do is to invite you to kind of explore and discover for yourself right now, as you drop into connection with the body, it's just feeling this body as it is wherever you are. And see if you can adopt a posture that embodies a quality of yes. And you can just play with this. It can be very subtle, nothing too dramatic. I'd love to invite you to roll your shoulders back, to open the chest, just open. See if you can allow your hands to rest in a way that feels receptive. And just notice what it feels like to open to this moment of life with the whole body, to receive this moment of life with every cell of the body. And see if that feels really quite refreshing, maybe surprisingly nice. And go ahead and settle in. You can lie down if you like as well, if you're not too sleepy. And I invite you, if it feels comfortable for you to do so, to close your eyes when you really settle into a posture that says yes, right now. So we'll begin with the first few minutes of this meditation, just establishing some mindfulness. And this is this radical quality, very powerful quality that is non-judgmental, that's fully present and radically inclusive. And we'll do this by allowing the body to lead just for a bit. Take a nice deep breath in and just notice how it feels to drink in the breath fully, receiving the breath, and let the experience of the direct flow of breath into the body be an experience of saying yes to this life that's flowing literally through you in this moment. And just notice how that feels. Drinking in the breath, breathing in deeply, allow it to expand throughout the body, this very natural way. And then just breathing out, slowing this down just a bit, allowing the whole body to unburden itself, letting go. Often when we can be reactive throughout the day, it does become trapped in the body. So this is a lovely, just taking a few more deep cleansing breaths. Allow the breath to do all of the work for you. I actually invite you to sit back and just drink in the breath as you breathe in, letting it be a felt experience of saying yes to this moment of life, this breath of life flowing out throughout the whole body. And then as you breathe out, see if you can allow the breath to be like a gentle cleansing wave that flows throughout every part of the body, releasing any accumulated tension that just happens throughout the day, throughout the week, and allow it to just flow gently out of the body as you breathe out, letting go deeply. You can allow throughout this meditation, you can allow, if it feels like a very natural, steady, reliable anchor for your awareness in this moment, to rest in the flow of the breath that is always flowing naturally without any effort on your part. And this becomes a lovely anchor for establishing just this quality of mindfulness. The mind present, connected, into the direct flow and experience of the breath as it naturally is. And you'll notice that the breath will just return to its natural rhythm. And it's so lovely to just allow to say yes to the breath as it naturally is, without interference, without preference or judgment, and simply feeling and resting in the direct sensations of the breath moment to moment as a natural anchor into presence in this moment, just as it truly is. So as you gently allow the breath as a natural anchor for your mindful awareness, allowing that to move into the foreground, just letting everything else move into the background just for now. Even the chatter, the busyness of the mind, we'll come back to this later in the meditation, but for now, just let it be background noise, not the focus, the main focus right now. And to any degree, as you rest in the flow of the breath, in the spirit of saying yes to what is here, see if you can meet yourself at your own door. And welcome yourself in, just as you are. Invite yourself in fully, completely. And see what it's like to offer yourself a seat. Into this practice of saying yes. Give yourself a seat. Just as you are. Welcome yourself home. And to any degree, as you say yes, to all that you are right now, just as you are. In support of that, welcoming, inviting you to allow a gentle smile, very natural, nothing forced. See if a natural smile forms on the face, and let that smile be another experience of saying yes. To this body in this moment, just as it is, just as it truly is. To this heart in this moment. As well as this mind in this moment, just as it really is right now. Allow the quality of that smile, let it spread throughout the body, into those tight places where we're holding on or pushing away, so natural in this life. And throughout the rest of this practice, simply knowing that the anchor of the breath always flowing in our moment-to-moment experience as long as we're alive. Allow that to be a steady, reliable anchor that you can return to for balance, for calm, for clarity. And if you feel steady enough, present enough, this is really for you to decide for yourself. From any degree that you have landed and you just rest in mindful embodied presence, you can gently allow this practice of saying yes to what is here, allowing it to gently expand. And you can expand the awareness to include perhaps anything that you notice in this moment that might be mildly unpleasant, perhaps in the body. Perhaps a sensation in the body that's unwanted, unpleasant. And you can allow that to be actually an opportunity from a mindfulness perspective, and gently notice in this first step to recognize, just to recognize that experience. Where you feel it, what it's really like. And notice if there's a lot of resistance in the mind. And you can inquire whether this is helping or actually not serving you at all. And in the second step, you can see what it's like to energetically release any resistance, reactivity in the mind, perhaps making it worse. And see what it's like to simply say yes, to energetically just allow it to be there as it is, without fighting or fixing or judging. And notice if this shifts your experience in any way. You can energetically, internally say yes. We often say from a mindfulness perspective, life is hard enough. Let's not make it worse. Let's let go of the resistance in the mind. Just play with this and notice, keep a very light touch, what it's like to actually energetically allow whatever is arising in your moment-to-moment experience, perhaps in the body, perhaps also in the heart, perhaps saying yes to any emotional weather that is naturally arising in the landscape of the heart, to just say yes, to feel, and perhaps become more free in the feeling of what we typically push away. And this practice can also include any mental pattern or thought in the mind. You can allow the mind to be like an open sky. And just giving any thoughts as much space as they need without becoming too wrapped up. And then returning to the anchor of the breath for balance, for presence, for mindfulness. Just notice for yourself, to any degree, what it is like to let go of the resistance or reactivity of the mind to anything that is arising moment to moment in your direct experience. And for the last minute or so of this meditation practice, you can just return to the flow of the breath. Just resting in that, letting that move again into the foreground of mindful awareness. So noticing for yourself just in the last minute, truly just the last few seconds of this practice as you breathe and feel and open to life as it truly is, letting go of resistance. Did this allow for any insight? Did saying yes energetically give you the space normally that is so hard to feel in relationship to things that we don't want or like? We want to push away. I'm going to ring the prayer bowl just to end the practice. So inviting you to open your eyes and to, this is a wonderful opportunity just in the wake of this practice to just notice and to explore, and I really want to open up to questions in the chat. How did just saying yes to let go of the resistance, the typical automatic resistance in the mind, especially to what is unpleasant, did it bring more balance? Was it less unpleasant? How about that? And this is something that you can really experience throughout any moment of your life. And it becomes a powerful, powerful practice. So one question I'd love to lead it with that is often asked is that oftentimes people ask me, my mind really had trouble saying yes to what was unpleasant. How can I manage this? And this is such a great question. It's so paradoxical, and we're so conditioned to say no to what we don't like. It's so deeply ingrained. The practice is really a wisdom practice. So when you are noticing the no or the reactivity in the mind to anything that you don't like or want in any moment in your direct experience, see if you can be with it enough to see for yourself whether that is actually helping or actually not helping you. And if you can stay present enough to notice the reactivity, typically you'll have an insight that will say, wait a minute, that's actually making it worse. That's actually increasing my pain. It's a downward spiral. I'm digging myself a hole in this moment. I'm just digging myself a deeper hole by trying to push away what is unpleasant in this moment. And when you start to notice this, so you let yourself feel it, it breaks the spell. That's why we name it first. If we can name it, we can tame it. We name what it is, kind of breaks the spell. You see for yourself what that is like. And then suddenly there becomes the relationship to what we don't like. It helps break that spell, and we become free just momentarily, and we can start to let go. And in the letting go, we have these moments, perhaps, of freedom, of release. Nothing has changed, but everything has changed. For we realize it's how we're relating to it that determines our experience. So I know that we're out of time. This has been such a beautiful experience. I hope that it was well received. I really hope you enjoyed this practice with me. And I'd love to warmly invite you to take my course on joy through Round Glass. It's called Discovering Joy in Challenging Times. This course will definitely deepen the experience of joy as a part of your life in every moment. So please join me again in every moment so that you too can mindfully say Welcome home.